Welcome back to Murder on Record, where every case is etched in blood and the truth is buried in the fine print.
Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we dig through the dusty files, the overlooked evidence, and the whispered testimonies.
To bring long-forgotten crimes back into the light, today we're diving deep into a case that, well, it seemed closed for years. The 1996 bombing death of Arizona real estate developer Gary Triano happened right outside a Tucson country club.
And for, what, over a decade, this crime was just shrouded in mystery? A really frustrating search for answers after such a brutal act.
It really was. It lingered, the violence, the suddenness, and then nothing for so long.
Just those unanswered questions hanging in the air.
Exactly. But slowly, piece by painstaking piece, investigators started to, well, uncover something pretty disturbing.
A conspiracy, wasn't it? That stretched across continents even.
Yeah. And at the center of it all, you had Gary Triano himself, charismatic entrepreneur type, but facing some serious financial headwinds.
Right. And then his ex-wife, Pamela Phillips. Very different scene, Aspen socialite.
And the other key figure, Ronald Young. We'll get to him.
And you absolutely have to mention the life insurance policy.
Oh, definitely. $2 million. That looms large over, well, everything, really.
That policy is, it's such a crucial lens to see this whole case through.
Totally. So our focus today in this deep dive is exploring the theories, the open questions that still kind of surround this case, even though it seems closed, especially with this recent DNA stuff.
Right. That really throws a new wrinkle into it.
So let's paint the picture a bit more. Gary Triano, successful guy on the surface.
Charismatic, yeah. An entrepreneur. But underneath, those financial troubles were pretty significant.
And a contentious divorce from Pamela Phillips. That adds another layer of complexity, doesn't it?
Absolutely. A really stark contrast, like you said, him navigating these money problems, her living this pretty lavish lifestyle in Aspen.
It's a detail that investigators definitely picked up on later.
You bet. But let's go back to that day. November 1996. La Paloma Country Club.
Yeah. A pipe bomb detonates in Triano's car.
Yeah.
Just devastating.
Horrific scene. And the initial investigation, well, it kind of hit a wall, didn't it?
It did. Which happens sometimes with these kinds of, violent, sudden crimes.
Yeah.
Chaos, not much information right away.
Exactly. But what's interesting is how, even without immediate leads, suspicion eventually started to build.
Around certain people.
And that $2 million life insurance payout, Phillips got that just a month later, December 96.
Which, okay, not definitive proof of anything on its own.
No, of course not. But it certainly became a point of scrutiny, something investigators kept coming back to.
So the investigation stalls. For nearly 10 years.
A long time. People probably wondered if they'd ever get answers.
And then 2005, something completely unrelated seems to happen.
And national TV, no less.
America's Most Wanted. They profile this guy, Ronald Young.
And suddenly it's like a key piece just clicks into place.
Leads right to his arrest down in Florida.
And the connection. Phillips and Young weren't just, acquaintances.
No, they had a history. Ex-lovers.
Which suggests, well, potentially a much deeper level of involvement. Maybe a coordinated effort.
Exactly. But the story gets even more dramatic, if you can believe it.
It does.
October 2008. Murder charges are filed against Pamela Phillips. And what does she do?
She runs, flees to Europe.
It's almost like something out of a movie, isn't it? Wealthy American socialite, international fugitive.
Yeah, it really speaks to a certain level of maybe desperation, or maybe she thought she could actually get away with it.
Her flight just kicked off this huge international manhunt.
And eventually they caught up with her. December 2009 in Vienna, Austria.
Took a while with the extradition process,
Yeah.
but she was brought back to the U.S. in July 2010.
Right. And by that point, Ronald Young had already faced trial.
He had. What happened there?
Convicted in 2010, first-degree murder, conspiracy, got a life sentence.
So his conviction was pretty significant for the prosecution.
Oh, huge. It basically established the bombing was a deliberate murder plot, and it laid the groundwork for the case against Phillips.
Okay, so fast forward to 2014. It's Pamela Phillips' turn in court.
And the prosecution, they had a narrative, didn't they? Focused heavily on motive.
Money. They argued she was facing, serious financial problems herself.
Ruin, even. And that $2 million payout was her way out, her way to keep funding that affluent lifestyle.
And they brought evidence.
Yeah, bank records, witness testimonies. They tried to paint this picture of a really carefully planned crime, meticulously executed, they argued.
And the jury.
They were convinced. April 2014, guilty verdict, first-degree murder, conspiracy,
Wow. And the sentence?
life in prison, no possibility of parole. Handed down in May 2014.
So at that point, it really seemed like, okay, case closed, done, definitive end.
It certainly looked that way after almost 20 years since the bombing.
La-da.
Plot twist.
Always seems to be one, doesn't there?
August 2024. Just last year, Phillips files this petition, post-conviction relief, which is basically asking the court to review the case again, right? Based on errors or new evidence.
Exactly. And her basis. New DNA evidence, reportedly found on the bomb itself back in 2023.
Whoa. Okay, that is potentially significant. DNA on the actual bomb.
Yeah. And here's the kicker. The traces are described as unknown.
Unknown, meaning not Phillips, not Young.
That's right. Doesn't match either of the two people convicted for this crime.
Okay. That definitely forces you to re-examine things, doesn't it?
It does. Now, the state responded this year, 2025, and they're arguing, look, this DNA doesn't actually exonerate Phillips.
How so? What's their argument?
They're saying it's circumstantial. Its presence doesn't, negate all the other evidence that led to her conviction in the first place.
So they might argue she still orchestrated it, maybe through Young or maybe even someone else we don't know about, and their DNA got on it somehow.
That seems to be the line of thinking, that the presence of unknown DNA doesn't automatically mean she wasn't involved.
But it raises that huge question, right? If it's not Phillips and it's not Young, whose DNA is it?
That is the central unresolved mystery right now. Who else could have been involved?
And have any alternate suspects been named, linked to this DNA?
Not publicly, no.
Yeah.
So it just kind of hangs there, this piece of evidence that doesn't quite fit the narrative that led to the convictions.
It leaves you with this sense of unease, like maybe there's another layer we haven't uncovered.
It certainly does. And, you also have to consider Gary Triano's family.
Absolutely. They've been through so much.
And they've remained completely steadfast, believing Pamela Phillips is guilty. Reports from the trial often mention how they interpreted her demeanor in court.
As lacking remorse, perhaps.
That seemed to be the perception. And their pain, their conviction, it's totally understandable given what they lost.
Of course. Their perspective carries immense weight after living through that tragedy and the long legal battle.
This DNA, even if the state calls it circumstantial, it just introduces this element of, uncertainty, doesn't it?
It really does. It kind of compels us to ask, okay, was the full story actually told? Could there be someone else? Another circumstance we just don't know about?
Could justice, as it was served back in 2014, need another look because of this?
It's a tough question.
So, as we kind of circle back on this really troubling case, we're left with this fundamental question highlighted by this new DNA. Was the conviction of Pamela Phillips truly the final word? Was that complete justice delivered?
Or does this unknown DNA hint at something more complex? A potentially incomplete picture of that deadly plot out in the Arizona desert all those years ago.
It's a chilling thought, really.
It really is. And it's a reminder, isn't it, that even when cases seem completely wrapped up, verdicts reached. New forensic evidence can just challenge everything.
Challenge our understanding, make us re-examine facts we thought were settled.
Exactly. This unknown DNA, it just keeps that door slightly ajar on a case many, many people believed was firmly closed, invites more scrutiny.
Until next time, stay curious.
And keep your eyes on the evidence.